That started in December 2020, and the core question there is around a nuanced legal question. Is XRP a security? And did Ripple sell, as an XRP, an investment contract? Did Ripple sell unregistered securities? Did I, Brad Garlinghouse, sell XRP as an unregistered security? I think it's very clear that in the United States, the laws have not been clear. And for the SEC then to go back in time and say, you should have known all along, it's really, I think, going to be hard. It's a hard case.
Look, I think the Howey Test is being stretched beyond recognition. And again, there's a 1946 Supreme Court case. So the idea that XRP, which we use as a currency, the idea that that's a security, I think is just misguided. But
what we're seeing in the court process, which does continue to play out, is a judicial process that recognizes some of this. Even this past couple days, there was a ruling from the court finally requiring the SEC to publish information about some speeches that the Director of Corporate Finance, Hinman, gave about Ether not being a security.
Measures here is if you were starting a crypto or blockchain company today, whatever use case you might be, whatever utility you might be pursuing, would you start it here in the United States where you don't have clear regulation? Or would you choose a jurisdiction like Switzerland or the United Kingdom or Singapore or even UAE? Would you choose a country where you do have clear laws?
And that was an excerpt of the interview with Ripple CEO by Bloomberg Crypto. The Ripple boss confirms where the SEC versus Ripple case stands, just as he reiterates the words of the current SEC chair, Gary Gensler, justice delayed is justice denied. The Ripple chief goes on to hint that the Howey Test is outdated, hence not sufficient enough to stop Ripple from succeeding. Worst case scenario, the decacorn firm would move its base out of the United States, given 95% of Ripple's revenue is generated outside of the United States. So how has the Ripple community helped make this lawsuit a living hell for the plaintiff?
What you know is that the XRP community has come through big time for Ripple, and now the court knows it as well. Let's take a look at Deaton's motion at the bottom of page 4. Quote, knowing Amakai is excluded from presenting facts and evidence to the court, counsel for Amakai provided the parties with the relevant facts and evidence Amakai would present if allowed. And then, look down at the footnote 5, quote, the parties have been provided with 3,252 affidavits from XRP holders from the United States and abroad attesting to matters, close quote. Over 3,200 affidavits. Good job, XRP community. And also Attorney Deaton, where he gets the time, I don't know. He's like a lawyer.
Join the XRP and essentially the entire crypto community on their quest to stop crypto bullying by signing the class member interest sign-up form to sue Bill Hinman, Jake Layton, and others. Link to it in the description section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, tap that subscribe button, and smash the notification bell while you're at it.
This is the United States SEC. The case has gone well.
Yeah.
It's still playing out. The SEC, in our judgment, has certainly moved slowly. Typically in these situations, when the SEC brings the case, they want to move quickly. They have been dragging their feet. Gary Gensler said recently publicly that justice delayed is justice denied, and unfortunately, justice is being delayed here by continued efforts by the SEC to push things out.
Welcome back to the channel, people, and just as Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse warns of a loss for the SEC in this lawsuit, as is obvious, what are others like the CTO of Ripple saying about XRP? It really doesn't matter. After all, what employee or proponent of a company or product would not take a shot at promoting that company or product whenever they have the chance to? What matters are the comments of external agents who are not under the payroll of Ripple Labs. So let's take a look at this one from an executive with the traditional payment processing giant MasterCard's vice president of product.
We think it's coming. So as a result, we said, okay, well, let's at least get ready to set up the stage. And in doing so, we're working with a number of different partners, with Ripple, TBS, different companies around the world to say, well, how can you help this whole transaction go from front to back? We've a number of different partners, with Ripple, TBS, different companies around the world to say, well, how can you help this whole transaction go from front to back? We've set up all the networks, we're ready to go, but the activities.
So we have the vice president of product at MasterCard referring to Ripple as one of its partners, essentially its primary partner for payment transactions with digital assets. And more recently, at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting, while discussing the topics regarding central bank digital currencies, MasterCard CEO Michael Maybach teased the CBDC panel as he indicated that SWIFT may not exist in 5 years. Guys, it doesn't get any clearer. It can't be clearer than this. Ripple XRP is global public good. Connect all CBDCs. The future is here. Guys, take a look at this.
The banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto, assets, currencies or whatever, and it's far from the bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system.
So now we've got these world leaders calling for a value payment protocol that isn't just based on the digital asset, but a highly interoperable one. The IMF boss is talking about it. We have Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, hinting about this a few years back during her days at the IMF, talking about a disruptor, as she refers to this disruptor as crypto built on a distributed ledger technology, hinting of a different kind other than the flagship cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. I mean, just open your eyes. This isn't the regular power grab. Do you not all think that Gary knows the plan for the XRP ledger? Of course he knows. And it's all part of the plan to keep you and me from buying XRP. Suppose we can remember clearly for those following this from day one. In that case, don't forget that the IMF postponed 2 events from the previous year to this year. First, revisiting its special drawing right basket, a supplementary foreign exchange reserve asset, defined and maintained by the IMF as units of account, however aren't considered currencies per se. Not to mention the latest ISO 222 payment standard that SWIFT recently joined. Ripple had already adopted it in May of 2020. Suppose you've been listening to what the IMF and the WEF have been saying. If you're adept enough to read between the lines, you should be able to catch a glimpse of what's happening here. These guys have come to realize that crypto is the future. And given the SWIFT system is doing things the old way, which presents customers with less flexibility, what other option is best for an alternative other than a crypto asset that is highly interoperable and runs specifically on a distributed ledger technology like Ripple? I don't know of any, so if you do, let me know in the comments. Maybe Stellar XLM, maybe close, but Stellar still has a long way to go given its network infrastructure. Compared to Ripple, the Stellar XLM platform, although it enjoys a partnership with former Ripple partners like MoneyGram, only pulled out of the Ripple partnership in the wake of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. However, pertinent to remember is that the CEO of Stellar was once an employee of the Ripple company, which is to say that the strength of this new company would naturally be a few times lower than the strength of the old one, which happens to be Ripple. Ripple has been evolving its XRP ledger to keep up with the emerging market by creating sidechains for the more recent crypto trends, such as CBDCs and NFTs. It seems like Ripple came to the battle prepared, so don't be dismayed. XRP will be crowned king and selected as an ESDR. Also, keep in mind that Brad Garlinghouse has earlier hinted about a period where we would be seeing much clarity in the industry. Putting that together with the timeline for the ISO 222 migration and the industry migration makes sense. And now, Brad Garlinghouse warns of a lawsuit loss for the SEC against his side, Ripple Labs. Meanwhile, speaking of the lawsuit, the court has granted the SEC's motion for extension of time to file an opposition to Amici's request to participate in the expert challenge. SEC's objection is due by June 7th, 2022, and any responses to that objection are due by June 10th, 2022. Judge Annalisa Torres, the presiding magistrate in the Southern District Court of New York, has granted the Securities and Exchange Commission an extension of time to object to Attorney John Deaton's Amici request less than 24 hours after the motion was filed. Following the court's approval, the SEC's objection to Attorney John Deaton's Amici Curiae request to participate in the expert discovery is now expected to be submitted by Tuesday, June 7th. In addition to that, the court also ordered that any response to the SEC's objection must be filed 3 days after that submission, which takes us to Friday, June 10th. Finally, Judge Annalisa Torres' endorsement of the SEC's request for an extension of time to file an objection was issued since both the defendants and Attorney Deaton didn't object to the plaintiff's request to file a complaint. This Amici request was made in response to the SEC's attempt to bring in an expert to testify on what XRP holders were thinking, since it was clear that Ripple would object to such an effort. Given that this expert would most likely not represent the opinions of the majority of XRP holders. Attorney John Deaton decided to file for an Amici Curiae request, which has actually been in place since last year, as the intervener's motion, which the court earlier displaced, and then got the judge's attention. This request, that attorney John Deaton had championed since 2021, appeals to the court for permission for the attorney to intervene in the lawsuit and represent the 67,000 XRP holders to understand whether they thought XRP was a security when they first bought it. And you can see here in this headline, SEC is preventing XRP holders from participating in lawsuit. Ripple continues to register new wins. The SEC has made it a public statement that it proposes to object to the John Deaton-led Amici request, allowing XRP holders to play a vital role in the lawsuit. However, this does bring us to some sort of an advantage, thus allowing Ripple a soft landing and allowing the company to proceed with the lawsuit smoothly. Furthermore, with the inclusion of the XRP holders, the all-knowing and belligerent XRP community, in this case, Ripple would have an added advantage and greater possibility of success, given the SEC would be fighting on two fronts.
This is the United States SEC. The case has gone well.
Yeah.
It's still playing out. You know, the SEC, in our judgment, has certainly moved slowly. Typically in these situations, when the SEC brings the case, they want to move quickly. They have been dragging their feet. Gary Gensler said recently publicly that justice delayed is justice denied, and unfortunately, justice is being delayed here by continued efforts by the SEC to push things out.
And in the words of Brad Garlinghouse, we're moving into a multi-chain world. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.